2021. And as many of you know, we have been offering these Psalms now for 6 months. One a day, starting with Psalm 1. Ashrei. Forward is the person that does not take the wicked for their guide. And so in this psalm, we are brought back to that very first idea, that first notion of being protected from the wicked. And these next couple of psalms that are kind of preparing us for Passover call out the wicked. And that's something that the Psalms have been doing for us, letting us know that there are the wicked. There are people who would
compromise everything.
Yeah, for their own self-interest. Rather than for the common good. And they're out there. So this psalm asks for protection from the violence of the wicked. We always begin with a Mishaberach, a healing prayer, to offer healing for those who are sick. And we'll begin with that, right, Jim? Right. We've been praying for Sam, for Choco, for Sean's brother Terry, for Abba, for all the people that we know with COVID and cancers, for Michael Kiernan and his family, for the people in Boulder who have lost loved ones and been traumatized by yet another shooting. We're still reeling from the killings in Atlanta. And we'll pray for healing. So good morning to all of you. Open your hearts for just a moment and let's become vessels for love, for the loving kindness the Psalms talk about as we offer this Mishaberach, this healing prayer. And a little bit of healing for families too. Families that have been broken and challenged by isolation, by COVID. It's been a tough year for a lot of people. We have to have strength and the conviction to have a little bit more patience to do this right.
For the healing of the spirit, the healing of the body. On my right, the angel Michael, on my left, the angel Gabriel. In front of me, the angel Uriel. Behind me, Raphael. Above my head, Shekhinah tail. Michael, who was like God, Gabriel. God is my strength, Uriel. God is my light. Raphael, God is my healer. Above my head, Shekhinah tail. Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim. Blessed are you, great healer. Amen.
For learning. It's a time for learning. inspiration through learning.
וערב נא אדוני אלוהינו את דברי תורתך בפינו ובפי עמך בית ישראל. Make your teachings pleasant on our lips and the lips of all of those that come onto our screens, so we can spend a time in learning for pleasure, for the pleasure of it, and also for its implications in our lives. What we know becomes what we do. What we know to what we do. Ma'aseh yadaynu. ונהיה אנחנו וצאצאינו וצאצאי עמך בית ישראל. So all of those that come into our circles can express this way. And for the purity of learning, the cleansing nature. When you don't know what to do, learn something new. Baruch atah Adonai melamed Torah le'amo Yisrael. Kulanu yodei shemecha velomdei toratecha lishma. Learning for its own sake, also for no advantage and for all advantages. Baruch atah Adonai melamed Torah le'amo Yisrael. Blessed are you who teaches to your people in this fashion. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Psalm 140. We're in the final stretch of these Psalms, but they don't, they're not giving us a break here. They're calling out the evil. But they don't stop with their theme. And, you know, this is L'Menatzeach, right? Mizmor LeDavid, the music director, you know, for the music director, a psalm of David, or to the one that grants victory, a psalm of David, right?
To your leadership.
Right. Yeah, because, you know, the leaders have to be careful. I know they want to do what's right. They have enough in their hands to just do what's right, but they have to be careful. They have to be careful because there are those who would sabotage them. And that's what it says in verse 2. Free me. Not so much rescue me, but save me, yes, but in a sense of freeing. Free me, he says. Free me from the wicked one. Preserve me from those who do wrongdoing. Why? Well, because we can be influenced, right? We can be swayed by being in the traps of the wicked. How do we stay
person of violence
true, right?
Violence.
Because you can be swept up into the violence. You could be swept up into the shaming and the blaming. You can get swept up into doing wicked things,
and
right?
There's a variety of violences. It's plural violences.
Yeah, that's really important, right?
Hamasim, violences. They're plotting ill in their hearts.
Yeah.
Every day.
They have
and you know
devised
where they
evil
live
things.
in? You know where they live? They live in war. in states of war.
Yeah, because, it distracts you from everything else.
Wars.
If you got a war, you got to pay
War is
attention.
plural too.
And it takes our children,
They live in all
It's
kinds
the
of wars.
sacrifice of the children. That's what war is.
Conflicts.
War is people
of
who
all
are
kinds.
willing to sacrifice their children for their own self-interest. That's what war is. They stir up strife every day. They sharpen their tongues like serpents.
Like a snake.
Spiders, poisons under their lips.
This is a hepex legomenon, this word. Tachat, underneath their tongues. So it goes. Selah. This psalm is punctuated with selahs.
Yeah.
Samson Raphael Hirsch pulls out an interesting thing about this word,
What?
this with the ayin in the beginning, that an ayin in the beginning of the word, it's tacked onto a word, it has a certain pattern
Yeah.
in the Hebrew structures of words
Right.
that I hadn't seen anybody else point out. Certain animals are described in the word by the ayin that's attached to a root. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here they're assuming it's some kind of
Venom, viper.
some kind of snake, another kind of snake.
Viper's venom is beneath their lips.
The
Right?
assumption is, of course, from context, how it's used, because it's not used anywhere else.
Right. And then,
Go on ahead.
okay, are you going to look it up?
Yeah.
So, they have sharpened their tongue like serpents. Viper's venom is beneath their lips. Selah. So that's the first part. This short psalm is divided into 4 parts. That's part 1. And then in verse...
Punctuated by Selah.
Selah. Selah. Right?
Yeah.
And then verse 5. So, protect me or keep me, God, from the hands of a lawless person. You could say wicked, but what is wicked? Wicked is the person who doesn't play by the rules.
Yeah.
Right? They don't play, they're lawless. They don't play by the rules. They'll do anything to get what they want. Preserve me from a person of wrongdoing who contrives to make my steps slip, that keeps me from that holy path. All the Psalms are right. They're about the instruction, about the Torah, about doing the right thing. Protecting the most vulnerable, acting with loving kindness. We know what the law says, right? And this sneaky person, this lawless person who doesn't play by the rules, like Amalek, right, is going to contrive to make my steps slip. The arrogant have hidden traps and ropes for me. They spread a net along the road. They laid snares for me. And there's another one, Selah. So that's part 2, right?
So yeah, it could be a spider too, that word, because the suggestion here is that it may be a corruption.
Of Achavish.
Akavish, yeah.
Achavish is a spider in Hebrew. Akavish.
But Samson Raphael Hirsch derives it from, he loves this, he has this point that he makes. You stick an ayin on the front, you turn it into an interesting
An animal.
animal.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah, it's a nice.
So that's part 2
It's a
is,
nice find.
you got to be careful because they're setting traps for you. And then verse 6. No, that was verse 6. Now verse 7. But I have said to God, you are still, I'm still in this with you. I am still in the river. I am still in the river of loving
you are
kindness.
My God.
Hazina,
lean in.
So, but you got to hear me. This goes 2 ways.
Hear the voice of my pleadings.
Where are you? My,
What?
I lost you in the screen.
I like that Picasso effect.
No, I don't want that.
Half a face. I like that.
So, this is verse 7. I said to God, you are my God. Give ear, God, to my pleas for mercy. In other words, this is a 2-way street here. The psalmist. This is the psalmist's longings. This isn't God calling to us. This is the psalmist certainly naming the human condition and calling out to something that is greater than ourselves. But we do expect something in return to be heard. Verse 8. Oh, God. Adonai, Adonai. Adonai, Adonai. God, my God. Merciful in judgment, right? Merciful in judgment. Wow.
Protect my head, though.
Yeah.
in the day of
strength of my
conflict.
deliverance. You have shielded my head on the day of battle.
Protection.
Okay, we're in the battle. Protect my head. Protect my head. Verse 9. Do not fulfill not, O God, the desires of the lawless. Let not their supplication grow so real that they could exalt themselves. In other words, you know, we gotta keep them in check. Don't grant the desires of the wicked. Advance not their scheme whereby they be exiled. Exalted. I'm sorry. Exalted. Exalted.
Lifted up.
Exalted. Lifted up. And there we go. Again, Selah. That's the third part.
Selah.
So think about that. I mean, I'm really trying to keep myself from naming who the psalmist is talking about today.
Yeah, don't name it because it'll change next week.
Yeah, but there's always an Amalek, you know. There's always this, you know, person who would use their faith, use tradition, use whatever, use their position, you know, to exalt themselves.
So this is a strange verse. Those at the head of those around me,
may the mischief of their lips cover them.
More crease here.
10.
Yeah.
As for my chief besiegers, may the mischief of their lips overwhelm them. So let them get caught up in their own lies.
Yeah.
That happens sometimes,
Let
right?
their lips cover
let them
their
get
heads
caught
or
up in their
something.
own lies.
And there's another Cree in 11.
Yeah. Burning coals are settling upon them. It will let them fall into the fire, into pits from which they cannot rise again. I guess this is the hope that, you know, somehow they will be, they'll be held accountable.
I think this is a Hapax too.
May fiery coals rain down upon them. Let God plunge them into the fire, into deep pits, never to rise
This
again.
is not used anywhere else either.
Which word?
Mahamarot, the deep pits.
The pits. Oh, the pits. So what are those pits? What are the pits? And how do we stay out? We have to know what they are so that we can stay out of them. Because we could get dragged. That's what he was saying in the beginning. We can get dragged into these pits. We could get dragged into these pits. We could get tired of all of this. We could get tired of doing the right thing. We could, you know, get dragged into the pits. So, know what the pits are, because once you're in those pits, you don't rise again. Right? And then verse 13. But, Ish, I know. Verse 13. I know that God will uphold the cause of the poor and the rights of the defenseless. Because that's what God is. Right? That's what God is. I know that Adonai will uphold the cause of the poor and the rights of the needy. Right? And then finally, verse 14. I mean, that's the point. Let's always remember the point. The point of all of these Psalms is that the cause of the poor and the rights of the needy. We don't leave anybody behind. We have to make sure everybody's taken care of. That's who we are. That's what human beings need to be. If we are to be godlike, if we are to be B'Tselem Elohim, that's what it means, right? It means the cause of the poor and the rights of the needy. That's who we are. That's what we have to do. And so finally in verse 14, the last verse of this psalm.
Surely only the righteous. Surely the righteous are.
I love that word.
Mostly the righteous. Mostly the righteous. Will
yeah,
give
for the
thanks.
most part. The righteous shall praise your name.
Those who are, here's that word
Right.
the psalmist loves, upright, straight ahead.
The Yashar.
They're straight ahead. And they will dwell in your face. Get in your face. That's not what they mean, though. They
Right.
mean in your presence, I guess. But
Only
I like
the righteous will render homage
I
to
like
your
to
name.
use
So
the-
that's how you'll know the
I like
good guys
the-
from the bad guys.
I also prefer
Right.
the anthropomorphisms. I like them.
Surely the righteous shall praise your name. The upright shall dwell in your presence. However,
We'll stick in your face.
however, there are those who are using religion, who are using faith, who are putting a garment on God.
Oh, there he goes with you.
No, I'm not going to priest.
Ach, tov v'chesed.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
let them
before
use
me.
religion, right?
Mostly
anything other
goodness-
than-
Mostly goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, or only goodness and mercy shall follow me days of my life.
Well,
Every translation and an act of interpretation.
but
Let's
you
say
know,
today, let's say only.
okay, only goodness and mercy shall
And
follow
only
me.
the righteous.
And only the righteous. But
Only the righteous.
But here, I do have to say this. I do have to say this, that, you know, there are people out there who are speaking in God's name. Shame on them. Shame on them. Because they're not paying attention to the suffering that they're causing.
Shame on all absolutism.
Shame on all certainty.
You know, all certainty, all absolutism.
Shame on that. You know,
Yeah. The ascendance of the dominance of the.
I heard a speech yesterday of someone who I would call wicked. I won't say his name, but you know, it wasn't the gospel of the gospel. It was his gospel.
You know what the
You know-
complementary quality to that is?
What?
That creates the balance for the middle pole?
What?
Humility.
That's right. Right, that's what was missing.
Mm-hmm.
Humility.
On the left
Humility
and
makes
on the
space.
right.
And there can be no
Humility.
democracy without humility, right? There can be no
The tyranny of ideas
yeah.
on either pole. Because remember, these are dialectics. There's in the Kabbalistic system, there's the left and the right and a middle pole of balance. Thesis and antithesis.
justice and mercy.
A synthesis.
Right.
It's in triads. The sphirot are given in triads. And then there's the one.
Mm.
3 triads and a one through which the flow, the divine flow, enters the world, so to speak. The contact is through the one. So here, into the pits. That's a good title, huh? Remember, it's a hapax.
Right. The pits.
Your leadership, the song. First the song, then David. We launch, we commit. That's the quality that we prefer in David. And that's his most common quality, but it's not his only quality. Sometimes he waits. He waits for the inspiration, but in this case, he launches. He begins to play, or he begins to sing. Free me up, O God, from a bad man. Save me from a man of plural violences, who has plotted evil in their heart, daily working. They sharpen their tongue like a snake. Beneath their lips, poison. So it is. Selah. Protect me, O God, from the hands of lawless, from a man of violences, who conspire to slip me up. Hidden a snare for me, cords. Chavalim, cords, I love that word too. A noose here, it's not used that well in this, but in another psalm, Psalm 16, I think, as invisible fibers of relation. But here, it's a grosser image. To waylay me, so it is, Selah. I said to God, you are my God, lean in. The voice of my pleading. God, O God, strong my salvation, protecting my head on a day of battle. Do not give me over to the wicked. They exalt themselves. So it is, Selah. Their head, the mischief of their lips over them. Burning coals spilling over them into the pits where they cannot rise. A person of such language will not sustain on earth. Violence, wicked, falling. I know that God makes judgment and law on behalf of the poor. Only the righteous will thank your name.
That's how you
Straight
know.
ahead, dwelling in your presence. Amen. March 23rd, 2021, Teeling on the ceiling. After Psalm 140, oh my God.
140 Psalms.
Bless our president, our vice president, and all their noble retinue. All right, I'm going to
It's,
sing a little and you can talk
okay.
your way out.
Okay, so this is, this is Tuesday before Passover.
It's Tuesday before Passover.
It is. So, according to the story, we're in the plagues.
Well, let me sing the order.
We're in the plagues.
Make everything holy.
This is the order of the Seder that we will enter into on Saturday
Wash
night.
yourself clean.
All the 15 steps to freedom
Eat something green.
for springtime.
Get more clean.
There's a lot of washing in the Seder. Right?
Separate spirit from physics. Spit out your hurt.
Maror, those bitter herbs. We remember
Return
the
spirit
suffering.
to physics. Tell a good story, long,
Indeed.
about people that nobody knows.
The story. It's all about the story. It's an important story. It's a story of liberation, but it's a story of their suffering too.
Have tea together.
Gotta have a good meal. It's about the meal too. It's about setting the table, right? And
Say goodbye.
preparing. But first you gotta bless.
Make a blessing.
Yeah.
Make someone happy.
Open the door for Elijah
Summer
to do that too.
Summer rise.
Mm.
Summer dash rise.
Rise. That's what
Kadesh urachas.
right.
Karpas yachas. Magid rachatza. Motzi matzah.
Matzah.
Maror
The bread of
kore.
faith.
Shulchan
The bread with no
ore.
ego.
Safu
The bread of humility.
Bahare. Halel nirtzah.
What will save us? I think you said it, Jimmy. I hope we all find that humility. We need it now. Stay safe, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this psalm. It's a hard one. And tomorrow's psalm also talks about overcoming evil.
Uh-oh. That's good.
Okay. Have a great day. A day of lift, a day of light. It's a little gloomy here in the Midwest.
No. Leonphilos. We're at the belly button of America here.
We are at the confluence of the Mississippi
We're
and the
riding
Missouri.
the heart line.
This is the Heartline. So, thanks for sharing this time with us. And we will be back, God willing. We do this a day at a time. Jimmy asked me this morning, are we doing Psalms today?
You got to ask every day because
He does.
it's a day at a time.
It's a day at a time.
It's always day at a time, this concept.
But so far, we've managed to
Yeah,
be here every day.
but don't arrive before you arrive.
So with inshallah, we say, if God's will
Our aspiration
is to be back tomorrow morning, same time,
Our
at Psalm
aspiration
141.
is perspiration. The work. The work is everything.
Sending love back to everyone.
Ciao, babies.
Have a great day. A day of lift and a day of light. And don't forget, it's time to clean. Prepare for Pesach.
Baruch Hashem.